All right, we're officially live and in color. So we look like we lost a few people, but we'll give them time to join back. We lost Deja, looks like. Um, okay, so we're gonna give people a few time to join in. There go Deja. There we go, Deja. Girl, I thought I lost you, little mama.
All right. I don't know what happened.
All right, so we're about to go live. We're already live now. We see a few people have already joined. Hello, welcome everyone that's joining in. Hey, Rika. So, welcome. Let's just give people a few moments to join. I'm already really filling my glass again. And we only
Can we
what?
Nothing.
What you want to say, Deja? Can we
Can we join us from our phone to see the comments? Because on the tablet we got to toggle through each screen.
Oh, you can? Yeah, so just turn your volume all the way down so it won't echo. All right. So we're about to just start, and then people start joining in momentarily. How's everybody doing? Y'all all good?
I'm good.
Doing pretty good.
Well,
we good. First of all, I've never seen such a. Don't be quiet, because none of us is ever quiet on this thing. But so we're about to start. Thank you, everyone, for joining Champagne Conversation Live. I look back, and we haven't done a live since the episode where Oh Boy was on there, and it just caused a little ruckus. So it's been a minute. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 months. So we're back. We're back. And today we're doing HBCU Love. I'm really excited about this episode. As you see, everybody is representing their school spirit on their shirts or something of the sort. Okay. So we're gonna just start or whatever. So my name is Sequez Mitchell. I currently live in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm born and raised in Louisiana, specifically New Orleans / Gretna. Okay. And I'm gonna go around and everybody's gonna introduce themselves, what school they went to. And they're also going to tell us what they're drinking on tonight. So we're going to start with Sam and we're going to end with Caressa. Okay? So go ahead, Sam.
Okay, I guess I'll kick it off. My name is Sam Cockfield. I'm from Queens, New York, specifically Far Rockaway. Went to Morehouse College, ATL, where I currently reside. And right now I am sipping on Uncle Nearest and some ginger ale. So it's a black brand. If you're not familiar with it, go get you some. Support your own.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Kira.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Kiera. I am originally from Hampton, Virginia, but I went to school in Nashville, Tennessee. I went to Tennessee State University. And at the moment, I am sipping on a little sangria since I have work in the morning, keeping it calm.
All right. Hey, y'all. I'm Deja. I went to the Jackson State University, and I am sipping on some Crown and champagne.
I've never had Crown and champagne. Is it good? Well, you're drinking it, so I'm assuming so. Go ahead, Marquise.
Hello, my name is Marquise Skinny Averett, and I guess I went to the Fort Valley State University. And I just don't see how you can have a conversation about HBCU love and not have a good ball of that hen dog somewhere nearby. Yeah, so that's what I'll be sipping on tonight.
Caressa face though. She was so disturbed.
Because it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
We graduated,
but
we don't gotta drink that no more.
We don't gotta drink that no more.
I didn't drink that when I was in school.
We left back in 2007.
Go ahead, Caressa.
All right. I am Caressa Stafford. I am from New Orleans, Louisiana. That's how I know Sequez, my childhood best friend. And I went to the Xavier University of Louisiana. And I am sipping on Cabernet.
Okay. I just don't understand how like other people say the, it just really just don't sit right. It just don't sound.
It just don't sit right with you, but it sits right with
it
me.
don't
That's
sound
all that
right.
matters.
Y'all don't have that trademark, so
XU over here.
There's only
XU,
one
the Xavier University.
No,
Yes,
there's
ma'am.
only one thing. That's
It's
the
only one.
Yeah,
Only one.
the XU.
The Jackson.
The XU.
This
But
sounds really
I ain't
weird.
get that interrupt y'all. I'm gonna let y'all have y'all moment. Go ahead. Continue. Yes, ma'am.
It
Go
just
ahead.
sounds really weird. It sounds really weird. Okay, but you know, go off,
There's only
sis.
one.
Go off. Go off. We respect it.
Yes.
So, as you guys know, the audience is people pouring in. People keep messaging me like where to go. I don't know how you don't know, but okay. Also, if you're in the comment section, if you're drinking on something tonight, please put in the comment section. So we have the icebreaker. The icebreaker is just basically us asking a random question. I'm going to ask my guest what is the icebreaker, which is what was something that you didn't expect out of an HBCU? Like, what was that one thing you was like, I was not prepared for this. This is not what I signed up for, and you had to adjust accordingly. So I'm going to start with Caressa, and I'm going to work my way up to Sam. So Caressa, what was that one thing?
Well, I wasn't gonna say it was something that I was like, oh, I'm not here for, but I wasn't expecting friends to turn into family. That's what I wasn't expecting from my HBCU. Like, I feel like if I didn't go there, like, I don't know, like initially I was supposed to go to LSU. So that's where I was going. I went to orientation and everything, and I was in a dorm and they had one of them other colored girls that was my roommate. I was just the most uncomfortable there. And when I got back home, I had me a scholarship to XU. I was like, ooh, we doing that. So that's how I ended up at Xavier. But friends that turn into family, like I love those girls with everything in me. I do anything for them, and that's what I didn't expect going to college there.
Okay, what about you, Marquise?
I had to sit back and think of that. That's a great question. I think one of the commonalities that you really don't think about till you get to an HBCU is how that struggle just binds you all together. You know what I'm saying? You have to make that $20 stretch for a week or so. You know what I mean? And you learn how to live together. You know, I might not have it this week, but you know, next week I'm up, then we all up. So I don't know. It makes you enjoy. I don't know. You have a lot of fun when you really didn't have too much of nothing. Those were the good old days.
Yeah, those are a good one. Okay, Deja.
I would say coming from the West, I just really wasn't expecting the amount of love I was shown when I got there. I had zero expectations. I was like, okay, I have no idea what to expect from here. I lived on the West Coast my whole life. I was just really overwhelmed with the amount of love that I was shown immediately. I'm talking even at the airport, like just the love was there. All I had on was a sweater. I was 5 minutes into accepting JSU, and already like the love was just instant. So I was completely like blown away by how instant everybody was like, okay, it's us here.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
I like that. What about you, Kiara?
So I don't know if mine is HBCU specific or South specific, but coming from Hampton, Virginia, going to Tennessee State and having fish and spaghetti together, I didn't expect that at all. I think that might be a South thing because spaghetti is a meal for us. But when I got to school and fish and spaghetti was served together in the cafeteria, I was thrown off a little bit.
No, that's a Tennessee thing. That is a straight up Tennessee thing. It's really weird. Nobody else.
They can keep it every Friday, fish and spaghetti in the cafeteria.
That's definitely a Tennessee thing. What about you, Sam?
So for me, I wasn't expecting professors to be so invested in you. I'm like, I thought I'm the one paying tuition. Why you calling me, asking me if I'm ready for your exam? And, they just pay more attention to you than the average teacher. I wasn't used to that, So your professors almost become like your family as well, or that uncle or that aunt that keep you on point. So that's what it was for me.
For me, I didn't know resilience and like how to really curse until I had to deal with financial aid. Until I had to deal with financial aid, bro, I started cursing like a sailor. You hear me? Like, you talking about standing up for yourself? Go to an HBCU and do financial aid. Like, and go into like the office and feel like they're trying to play you. Like, you ain't never felt more confident in your voice, okay, until you had to go and it was playing with your money. I don't know if that's I feel like that's an HBCU thing, period. I don't think it's Jackson State specific, but your girl got good with the words, okay? Raised up real Kojic, but the words came flying.
That's one of those bonds that bring everybody together.
Bruh, the struggle. Like what he said, it's like the struggle for sure. Okay, so we're going to move on. So we definitely want to rep school. So if you went to an HBCU or if you went to a PWI, no judgment. But rep your school in the comment section. Everybody already rep their school. We have variety here, but we want to make sure that you rep your school. So whatever school you went to, please make sure that you put it in the comment section so that we can highlight you. Okay. So we want to jump right into it. We don't want to waste what time. So I want to ask you guys, how did you learn about HBCUs? Like what put HBCUs in your head, or like what made you? How did you learn? I just want to know specifically, how did you learn about HBCUs? Who want to take that?
I can go. So pretty much all of my family that went to college, they went to HBCUs. My mom and dad met at HBCU. Her sister and her husband met at HBCU. So I was just kind of surrounded by it. And because of that, my mom always had me in some type of organization or program on an HBCU campus. So it was just kind of all I knew. So when I graduated from high school, it was the only thing that I wanted to be a part of.
Okay. Anybody else? Deja,
I went to an HBCU.
Go ahead.
In high school, I had one of my high school counselors. She was a Sigma Gamma Rho, and I was asking her like what school she went to and all that, and she was like, "Well, here's where I went, and I think you should go to this HBCU fair." And she handed me this big book, and then I went to one of the local colleges, and then that was it. Like I literally went to the fair. I got to talk to some of the individuals that were representing their organizations, and I got to tour a few of them, and that was like my first exposure to them, was going to that Black College Fair. Now, granted, we had the stuff we saw on TV, but it was not the same as actually like meeting these individuals and getting to interact with them and hearing about their experience outside of what we see. So that's how I found it, was through like a Black College Fair that they were hosting here in Phoenix.
Anybody else want to add to that?
I didn't learn until I got there. Simple as that.
Okay.
I didn't learn until I got there.
So I feel like that's wild because, okay, so Caressa and I literally grew up together. We are 6 days apart. I knew her my entire life. Okay. I don't know how you didn't know that, because living in New Orleans, like you have like HBCUs is kind of like surrounded. You think about it, you got Southern, you got Grambling, you got Xavier, you got all these schools or whatever. You got Dillard, all this. So you would think that like HBCUs was around, but I think what took me to be obsessed with going to HBCU was a different world. A different world was just, I'm like, oh, it's lit. You know what I mean? Like HBCU, and my sisters went to Alabama State and all these different universities, Grambling, all that. But HBCU for real, like solidify that was for me was a different world. 100%. I was obsessed with Whitley. Caressa, shut up. I was obsessed with Whitley. And I just I was like, yes, that's gonna be me. And then Whitley was truly the definition of an HBCU experience, not having enough clothes, don't know what you're gonna wear. Jackson State, it was definitely like a one-way show every day. So I think that was like the oh yes, no wait, Suno is an HBCU? Don't play me. Is that an HBCU? Oh wow, I forget about them.
Well, when you kind of think about it, since you know me, how sheltered was I on a scale of 1 to 10?
Okay, fair point.
Exactly.
Fair point.
And then I was the oldest, so
yeah, we had different experiences. I was the youngest, and my people was outside. So we know Caressa chose the HBCU. She chose Xavier because she won't be with the other people. But why did you guys choose an HBCU?
So I guess I'll kick it off because you gave me that look, like hello, talk. So for me, it was a different world as well. But growing up, my mother would always talk about like I had like a cousin or two that went to Howard, so I would hear about it. But what really did it for me was a mentor in the community. He went to Morehouse as well. R.I.P. You know, I think COVID took him out, but he was like influential in my life as a mentor that kind of encouraged me to want to go to Morehouse, so or to look at HBCUs in general. So that's what that's what did it for me. Besides A Different World, that really was a good show.
It really, I still watch it. I
watch the reruns all the time.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add to this before we start getting into the real good questions?
I would just add that growing up in my family, I didn't really have people in my family who had ever even attended college, as I'm the first male in my family lineage ever to graduate from college. But growing up in a Black community, I also attended a damn near all Black school. And so what I saw was all Black teachers. And like Sam was saying earlier, those all Black teachers gave a damn. And so they made sure that we knew about the Fort Valleys and the Albany's and the Tuskegees and Morehouses and, you know, those schools that were not far from where we were. I'm from Columbus, Georgia, but they definitely were beacons of our community. So that's how I learned about HBCUs, is just being around many graduates in the community in that school.
That's a blessing for y'all, truly, because it ain't until as of late that like the West Coast is getting, you know, it's kind of having that have that insight and to have that upbringing from a younger age, as opposed to what we were doing and having to go out there and get it ourselves. Like that is definitely a blessing that I feel we're working more now and instilling it with our youth, so that way they know we're here and there's more of a presence. But to have grown up with that early on, I don't even know how much of a blessing that is, because it was the complete opposite for us.
I was about to ask. That's what I wanted to ask you about. What made you want to go to Jackson State? Because, you know, knowing people from the West Coast, like especially not growing up in my career life, and I'm surrounded by PWI and Black people, right? But like my friends or that are colleagues that lived in California, the West Coast, didn't even know about HBCUs, like had no idea, wasn't even privy to A Different World. And it just blew my mind. Like, I'm like, say what now? You know what I mean? And so like how I'm always interested to meet people from the West Coast and they went to HBCU, because it's just it's not pushed out there as much as it is in the South. And of course, because it's proximity a lot of the times, but still like, it's not really pushed like the PWIs are, if that makes any sense. All right. So I want to get to like the real questions, the questions that, oh my God, everybody keep messaging me. The real questions. So do you guys feel that are HBCUs still relevant? Do you feel like they're still needed in today? We know how HBCU started. It was a place for people of color to get an education because they were not allowed to get them at the predominantly white institutions. But in today's world right now, do you feel that HBCUs are still relevant? And that's for everybody.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Why do you feel that way?
I mean, I had a personal experience. Grad school, I guess I was choosing between UT Knox and going back to TSU. And as everybody's mentioned, the experiences that I had with my professors and, the things that they put me in or the opportunities that they gave me, I probably would have been looked over if I would have chose to go to another school. There were instances where tuition wasn't even offered because of, how I looked, what I'm saying? So I absolutely think these schools are still relevant and will always be still relevant.
Anybody else want to add to that?
I think social media actually plays a big part in keeping HBCUs relevant. Because I think, back in the day, 2006, when I graduated from high school, I didn't hear much about HBCUs and stuff like that. Of course, I know your sister went to Alabama State. My guy's sister went to Xavier and stuff, but I didn't know about the experience and being around our people and just feeling like a family. I didn't know anything about that, but seeing on social media, it's all over social media. All black kids know about HBCUs. They're 9, 10, wanting to go to a HBCU. I think without that, then, I think it would still be, like it was in 2006. But I think it's just so relevant. Some of these schools are producing the best doctors, the best engineers, we feel like we made it. You know what I mean, but I'm just saying.
I think a lot of that is because of our generation in schools. We've been there, and now we you can't tell us nothing. You legit can't tell us nothing. We have it on all the time. If you talk to us, we're gonna give you a solid hour worth of talk if you ask us about it. We're just putting it out there because we want it to stay relevant and to stay in these conversations. Yeah. So I think that's a kudos to y'all, all of us who came at the same time. We definitely putting it out there.
I would also add to that, especially when you consider how many students are attending HBCUs, and how many that 80% of them are Black. That 25% of Black doctors and dentists that they come from HBCUs. I think that the relevance is unquestionable. But I think that when we look at what we're doing as a society towards HBCUs, when we're stripping them of funding, when we're promising Black people we'll deliver $45 billion on this week to HBCUs, but then when the plan gets trickled down a little bit more, we only want to give Black folks $2 billion. But for years, we've been the product of a school system that has never been fully funded like white people's institutions have. Our endowments are smaller because most of our students are first generation students who incur a lot of debt and they don't have money to give back to the school. So I think that Black schools are very relevant. I think that we need to fund them more. And I think that that's the problem.
Well said. My man was talking like a congressman right there.
Snaps with it. 100. I don't know who could comment after that, so we're gonna move on because nobody will comment.
I ain't finna do it.
Don't play yourself. So
mic drop.
So let's move on. So we I agree as well. They're still relevant. They're even more relevant today than they are at any other time, to be really honest with you. But I want to move on to this comment right here because I feel like I'm hearing this more now from people, from others today than I did when I first went to an HBCU. HBCUs doesn't give a real sense of the real world. It doesn't portray what you're going to face in the real world or in reality. I've been told that a couple of times.
By who?
I've actually been told, not just by others, but I've also been told that by people who have graduated from PWIs. It doesn't give a sense of reality. What do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like do you feel as if the HBCU has prepared you properly for what you'll be facing, not in just in your professional life, but in the real world in general. And also, when you did face the word, did you feel like, did you have a sense of regret? Like, yo, I should have went a different route because this is not what I expected. So a two-part.
So for
No,
me,
no sense of
feel
regret, but mama and daddy with you all day long when you go to class. Like, that's what it's like. Your mom, your dad, your auntie, and them on you every minute. Like, you need to do this in here because when you get out there, X, Y, Z is going to happen. I feel like they over prepare you for what's going to happen. That way there are no surprises when you get out there. So people who make those comments let me know that they didn't attend the Black college, so they don't know the kind of preparation that they give us. If anything, I feel like they're actually harder on us than those when we go to PWIs because they give a damn. They give a darn. I don't know what we have to say here because they care.
You can say damn.
So definitely.
Okay, I feel you. And I really agree with that Jasmine's comment. Like, you have your whole life to be a minority, like your whole life to be a minority. It's you only got 4 years where you could be a part of the majority. Because at one thing about an HBCU, there's a pocket for everybody. You could be, there's literally a pocket, a community for every single person. There's no one that's really kind of the loner because there's a pocket for everybody. But I do want to get everybody else comment on this statement. Do you feel like it prepared you for the real world?
I do. I feel like it prepares you to be 3 times as better. And when you go into the workforce, you realize that your standard is already above the norm.
Mm-hmm.
What's normal to you is like difficult to others. But that's because of the professors and everyone around you that prepared you. Like, not just in the class, but also maybe internships and things that you did during your time at a HBCU. So it's not cockiness, it's just confidence.
Period. Anybody else want to comment on that? No? Okay, I again, I agree. So we have Renisha, absolutely, they prepared me for everything I face in the real world till this day. Went to PW for grad school and straight dominated. 4.0 me, please. Period. Okay. Here comes Jasmine, the wife, always coming through in the comment section. So we're going to move forward. So I want to go ahead. Spice, say something.
I would just also add that
come on, preacher. What you about to add?
I think that what is so good about the HBCU experience is that so oftentimes the lessons that you're taught in classes aren't in the books. You go to so many classes and you spend, weeks and months without ever cracking the book. But it's so much more than you could have ever learned. And I think that alone makes it worthwhile.
Always coming in with the closing remark every time. So I want to go even further, right? So we have PWIs, we talked in HBCUs, we even talked about does it prepare you? We talked about all these different things. So I want to go here. The reason why this question came up, because a colleague of mine felt as if we should no longer have HBCUs or PWI. It should just be like this general schools. Everybody goes to school. It causes a level of division. Now, I'll reserve my comment for the end, but I want to know you guys' point of view. Do you feel that HBCUs cause division as like a separation between? Or how do you feel about that?
What do you mean within other
HBCUs
or?
Right.
So as a separation between universities, right? So you have HBCUs and you have PWI, two totally different experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is 2 totally different experiences, and we need to get rid, as we know that some people are trying to get rid of HBCUs and have just our state schools and all that or whatever, and just have everybody go to a PWI. So do you feel that HBCUs cause division in the world when it comes to higher education institutions?
The only reason why HBCUs even exist is because we could not go to PWIs.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we can, I'm gonna challenge you. Now that we can go to PWIs, should HBCU still be around?
Yes.
If it ain't broke,
Yes.
don't fix it.
Right.
A lot of things this was not broke. People consider not broke, but they still try. We need to fix. So can we use that?
I think that, like I said, that when you look at how HBCUs have greatly impacted the African American community, I think it's worthy of the investment. It's the least you can do for 400 years of suffering is to give us a few dollars so that we can educate our own.
Right.
Come on, brother.
And then on top of that, they don't want us over there at the PWIs anyway. They only want us if we can play
Exactly.
sports.
Exactly.
Right.
Pretty much play sports for them. That's it. Catch a
Right,
ball,
dribble a ball for
bounce a
me.
ball. That's it.
Right.
So don't want to be around them either. I'm just saying.
I would add that is very important that HBCUs create safe spaces where Black people can be themselves. One of the things we didn't have at HBCUs, we didn't have Black student unions because everybody was Black.
Right.
But when you go to to PWIs, you got to find this little community to hopefully to finagle your way through. And I just think that everybody ought to have at least 1 year at the HBCU.
I agree. Okay. Anybody else?
To answer your question, now they don't cause division, and they need to stay right where they are.
Serious face. Deja face was serious, like, and that's it. Period. Okay, I feel you. I also feel like that to me is white fragility in a way, like the fact that you feel like you don't, because you cannot, you don't have access to this space. Like, how dare you not allow me to? How dare you have an inclusive environment just for you? Like, do you not? It gives that that white privilege, that white fragility, like how dare you type of sense. And when that person brought it up, who was a Black woman, mind you, it just also just gave into the notion of like, oh, you really think that like we really in this thing together. Okay, like you really think this is like this big harmonious, we all play in the sandbox, and it's just all sandboxes are not created equal. So okay, it's just not.
But
it's funny
white
because
people are starting to in the HBCUs trying to. White people are record numbers attending HBCUs, getting scholarships, minority scholarships, HBCUs,
yep.
wanting to join the D9 organizations, wanting to do everything that they told us we couldn't be a part of. So then what?
That part, because you know what? We're going to talk about homecoming, but I went to homecoming this year. And let me tell you one thing about it, two things for sure. I have never seen pockets of white people at the Jackson State before in my life like I did at homecoming this year. I mean pockets. I don't mean like one or two. I mean, they have a squad. It's a crew. It's a community. Like, I just never seen pockets of white people at Jackson State before. We had a little sprinkle. We had a little sprinkle. But I just never seen so many pockets. I was like, oh, we have D&I initiatives now? Like, I see it. I see it. Okay, anybody else want to comment on this before we move forward?
I mean, they talk about inclusion, but honestly, we could be right in front of you and have a conversation, and only we understand what we're talking about in your presence. So like Marquis said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
all right. So
it also, I'm gonna just say that it also goes back to the symptom of white people always wanting us to center whiteness, and anything that revolves around us that's good, it got to be a problem because they ain't involved. And so I would advocate that, I don't mind, inviting, white people into our institutions. But I think that centering whiteness isn't the answer either. So
it's amazing how he says all that and he just goes straight to mute. Like, first of all, what you're not gonna do is just drop it like that and then just go straight to mute. I do want to talk about something though. I've been thinking about this, and I want to hear you guys' views on it. So when we talk about HBCUs and we talk about different opportunities that come in, we talk about curriculum. Let's go about curriculum at HBCUs, right? So I want to ask you guys, does HBCUs provide career opportunities for the modern world? As we see, there's so many ways and means to make quote unquote money, right? You have people flipping houses now. You've got people making money on YouTube and social media managers and like all these different streams of income. Do you feel that HBCU's curriculum provide professional opportunities for the modern day world? And why or why not?
Well, for me, I would say for my HBCU, they actually built I believe a building, a new department for that, but that was just recent. Like when I went, it was more so traditional. It's certain things that you do, certain professions that you go in, and you don't really stray away from that. So I can't speak to all HBCUs, but I would assume, since we kind of sometimes, struggle with certain things, we're probably not prepared as much as PWIs for the new type of careers that are developing in our society today.
I definitely think it's something.
At the times, like as things come out, they tend to have more curriculum updates. So what we were doing 10 years ago versus what they've added to the curriculums to try to have more emphasis and things that are more productive for today, it's definitely evolving with what's around us. So they're trying to stay, keep up with the times in a sense. So I wouldn't go as far as to say no, because from my curriculum conversations and when I'm going through HBCU curriculums with some of the people that I mentor, I can see the change and the progression in the curriculum. So I can definitely say that they are evolving with the times to present those kind of opportunities for today's student or the future's workforce.
Kiera, you want to say something?
Something very similar. I know I have a lot of friends that are now, professors at the school or work at our school, and I see the efforts that they're making to provide those opportunities to have people get into the social media world or things of that nature as they put those things or add those things into the curriculum. And specifically, I think like mass communications in that world. I definitely think they're making those changes. But as everybody said, it's very, very new. Definitely wasn't something that was around when I was in school.
Yeah.
Is it just curriculum alone, or do HBCUs provide the environment for entrepreneurial spirits to thrive? I had never seen nobody cut hair in a dorm room for $3 and have a line all the way down the hallway. You know what I'm saying? Somebody fixing plates, somebody got the lashes going, somebody working on cars. So it ain't necessarily about are you learning how to work a 9 to 5, but are you learning how to own your own shit? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, even the party promoter, the DJs, it's so much business minded things going on the campus that is ridiculous.
Somebody said doing tattoos. Who was doing
Yes,
tattoos?
can we talk about it? Because that was crazy. But Jackson State used to have tattoo parties in the Palisades. It was a thing. And only one of my friends got her first tattoo at the Palisades tattoo party. It is definitely
drive-by tattoos.
Base, yes. And I'm not saying it was wise, but I am saying we had an entrepreneurial mindset. Okay. And if you want to get a little 1-2-1-2, go to the Palisades tattoo party. That's all I'm saying. It was definitely a thing, and the parties was live. Now,
I want to see some photos offline.
But I do want to expand on this conversation because I think it is important that we, as HBCUs, we become more agile. We definitely are very spirited when it comes to tradition. Like our tradition is strong and it's solid, and that's great. But it's also important that we become more agile and being aware of the trends and what's going on within the modern day world, because how Because when we were in school and the education that was needed when we were in school is totally different than the education and the experience and exposure that is needed today. And I think it is imperative that they, as HBCUs, we keep keep the pulse of what's happening in the world today, so that we can have traditional careers is not the only way anymore. Being in marketing, finance, all that is not a way. Sam has his own business. Can we talk about that? Yes.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, like Sam has his own business with like doing vending, like having vending machines everywhere. It's an entrepreneurship major, but it's not like different ways of how to have different streams of income, right? Like it's important, I feel, that we constantly keep the pulse of what's happening today, so that we can have students that have a more broader outlook of how they can be a professional in their own right versus the same cookie cutter type of careers.
I think also, and what we've seen through a lot of organizations after the Black Lives Matter movement that we had last summer, was a lot of organizations began to invest and support into HBCUs. But so if all these organizations, they're constantly pointing to the Harvards and to the Yales and to, of course they're going to be ahead of the game when it comes to getting these new technological jobs. And so we need those same investments, and so that's why I've loved, seeing what we've seen in this last year, with so much money being donated to the Morehouses and the Spelmans and the Howards and we could have another debate about that. But
yeah,
I'm just glad
that there's more institutions
that
we donate dollars outside of Morehouse, Howard, Hampton. Like, bro, we get it. Spelman. I understand there are private institutions. So but however, the public institutions still not getting money, especially going to Jackson State University in Mississippi, where you have Ole Miss and all those little other snooty pooty schools that are trying to get their funds to them. Versus to the Black institutions, there are more institutions that need those funding than just the same old Howard, Morehouse. I'm sick of
Morehouse College. You got ASU. Alabama State.
Now, I ain't knocking down the Morehouse saying,
I'm an alum, and I feel like we just need to shed light on everybody else, because it can't just be
the same
ones that's holding everybody up. I know Jeff Bezos' wife, she gave a lot, but they could have spread that money out through 90 other HBCUs.
That could have gave everybody $2 million apiece, and we all would have been straight.
HBCUs that's closing their doors. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally closing down because they don't have funding, and yet we're still giving to the same HBCUs. Not saying that it's their job to we should just thrive on donation dollars. I do feel like we, as alumni, as much as possible, try to support the school and put pressure on the public schools to for the state to give the proper funding to those schools. However, you got schools was it Morris Brown? Not Morris Brown. Is it
Morris Brown? At one point, they was struggling.
Like schools losing their accreditation. Schools are closing down. And they have a new school that's opening back up, HBCU that's opening back up. But it's like there's more schools that needs those funding.
Absolutely.
But they're not aware of those schools, and it's up to the ones that's always getting funding to shift that money away from them to the other schools. We have a responsibility as well.
How do we do that? How do we lift the voices of those HBCUs that are not in the spotlight or not talked about, to support them to get the funding that they need to keep those doors open?
Redirect the funds. Literally, when they want to give to your HBCU, tell them that's cool. We're thankful for your donation, but there is another HBCU on this side that you can give to, or 5 others. But we don't do that because everybody wants to.
That's true HBCU love right there. That's not gonna happen.
It's part of leadership.
I think Sam's on to something. I would also add that we could start sending more of our kids to those schools and boost attendance and enrollment records. I think that would also be helpful in that search.
Tish made a really good point, which leads me to my question about what's going on and popping off at Howard. As you guys know, what's popping off at Howard is if you don't know, Howard students and some of the faculty and some celebrities and everybody have their 2 cents of adding about the living conditions that's been happening at Howard. Molds, infestations of that nature, like conditions are unlivable. And it shooks me, not shocked me, but it shooks me to think that such a prestige school as of Howard that's receiving so much funding is going through this. But I want to get you guys' opinions on, and I want everybody's feedback on what's going on with Howard. How can we hold not just ourselves accountable, but the schools accountable for funding to make sure that the dorms are livable and make sure that the students are actually having a nice and safe experience at our illustrious institutions. I want to get you guys' feedback on that.
Can we first put that into perspective? That the current vice president of the United States graduated from Howard University, and you have children literally camped out sleeping in tents outside of Howard right now because there's mold growing in their dorm rooms. I think that it's not necessarily the school's fault. It's the government's fault for not investing in HBCUs. It is that there has, and I've actually looked at this in recent weeks, that we have a large backlog when it comes to buildings and dorm rooms being updated and renovated, and HBCUs see that problem exacerbated. Like it's crazy. And so I think it's a problem with what are we asking our federal government to do? Black people, specifically Black people that graduated from HBCUs, specifically Black people that graduated from HBCUs living in the South, have delivered Democrats power to the White House, to the House of Representatives, and to the Senate. They promised us all of these illustrious things. And the only thing we've asked you to do was to protect our voting rights, stop killing us, and to invest into higher education. And not now one of them has been done since Joe Biden and Sister Harris have been in office.
This is Sister Harris.
Oh Lord.
So I think it's a problem.
I feel you to an extent. The fact that you're trying, I feel you, but the fact that you're trying to put all the blame on the government when Howard University get millions and millions and millions of dollars for just program funding, the fact that it is not just the government. What are you doing? Nobody get more donations than Howard.
I think it's also important to see how those funds have been earmarked and how they've been given.
They're not transparent. They are not transparent.
Yeah, some funds. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna bag out. I don't want, I don't want to get into reading this. But I think that sometimes it's important just to see what funds have been allocated for. Some funds you can't use for operations and for maintenance of buildings. Some funds are particular for research and other things. So I don't know nothing about this. So I'm gonna back in my corner.
But have you seen Howard's campus? That campus is beautiful.
On the outside.
It is a gorgeous campus.
Right.
So if you're investing in the beautification of the campus, but you're not investing in the upkeep of the campus, we got mixed priorities here.
Right.
Like the campus is beautiful. I mean, picturesque, beautiful. So if you can invest in the imagery of the campus and the elite side of the campus, how are you not? It just seems real questionable. And I'm not judging.
No, I'm judging. Where that money going?
Yeah.
So it sounds like we probably should hold some administrators accountable for not doing what they're supposed to do with the money.
But I feel like that's a little bit in every HBCU. You know.
That's why we get our
that person pull up in the new 2020 Benz, and you're like, where they get that from? Was
it Howard University which a student embezzled like over $1 million something dollars in funding?
Yeah.
Jackson State, we can't even talk about embezzlement.
I just feel like we just need to, they really just need to be transparent, like, and come up with a budget to redirect those funds, and have a plan as to how you're going to reinvest in the infrastructure of your campus, because I mean that's uncalled for that people are sending their children there and they have to breathe that in. And you say this is all your future leaders and you want them to be the next and leaders of the world, but you have to make sure that the environment is safe enough for them to be that.
Chris, are you about to say something?
But I'll also say I do think
is it Xavier? I want to hear something from Xavier now.
I do think that Howard, once again, because it is a school that gets a lot of attention, this problem has really been pushed to the forefront. There are so many schools where these kids have been in these same situations year after year after year, but it doesn't. It doesn't end up on the Breakfast Club, because it's not a school that people have heard about. But because it's Howard, once again, and I think it's horrible for the students, but good that the attention is being put on the situation, because now people are like, if this is happening at Howard, I know this is happening other places. So I hope that it comes out, out of the wash, that these schools get these updates that they deserve, because there's no way I'm paying $20,000, $30,000 to sleep in a tent. Y'all got me messed up. Like, that's not going to work. So I do hope that something down the line changes very, very quickly. And, the living conditions are updated, because this is just, it's ridiculous. It's very upsetting, especially, being in this area. Like, we're in DC. Y'all are down the street in tents. It's cold outside.
And it's still going on. And last time I checked, like, the administrators are it's not like where there's some sort of like they're agreeing to certain terms. Like, it is still like an ongoing, we're not doing this type of situation. And it's kind of saddening to see, like, they're not making a public statement like, we acknowledge it, we're working on it. They're just, to me, what it appears when I was researching it, it is still like this standoff. And I'm just not understanding where the empathy is, like, where the, like, just plain old, like, like, we shouldn't be living in mold infested areas. Like,
they say that the president is not even willing to hear what alums have to say. So you don't even hear what the students or alums have to say,
but release statements about how the students living in tents have caused people to lose their jobs instead of fixing the dorms for them to be able to move back in. Like, something's just not adding up.
Something is off. And I think maybe there's something deeper that that's the reason why I think they're not acknowledging it, because maybe it opened the doors for something bigger, a bigger conversation. But I do want to comment. Go ahead, Asia.
Somebody's stealing the money. They don't want to be up. They don't want to be honest. They have more than enough money to renovate that school. They just ain't doing it. That's going to cost somebody their salary.
You about to lose your job.
That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is. But let me tell you one thing about it. Okay, so I don't know if y'all know. So Jackson State has Alexander, right? Alexander is like, it's a freshman dorm, boys on one side, girls on the other side. And I don't know, I'm sure Jasmine, the historian, will know, but back in the day, the KKK ran up on the school, shot the school up, and it had the bullet holes still in the walls and
of the dorm.
Not the walls, but the outside framework or whatever. And it was, we call it the projects. It was truly, it looks like you going to the Fisher Projects, Caressa, for reference. It's like going to the Fisher Projects. It's just the projects. But if we at the Jackson State can look to see Jasmine come up with the 1971, I knew she knew the freaking year. But if you can fix Alexander, okay, the projects, Howard definitely could fix anything, okay? Because Alexander got a new set of paint, okay? The bricks look like it got washed last time I went. It looks real nice. The lawn, it looks real plush. Okay.
The inside is
I didn't go in the inside.
It's lavish.
It's lavish. Oh, I didn't go in the inside, girl.
Like, it feels like Campbell in there.
Oh, Campbell is like, like going to the Westin. It's like the Westin of the campus. It's like the Westin Hotel of the campus, for reference, if you don't know what I'm talking about. All right. I want to move forward a little bit because we're slowly coming to but I do want to move forward a little bit, and I want to talk about the good old homecoming. Okay, quick story. I went to DC for Kiara, right there. Boom. If y'all don't know, Kiara, for reference, is married to Salome. Okay, Salome Henderson. Y'all know. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So I went to DC to go see Kiara and Salome get married. It was real beautiful. A lit situation. But while I was there, I went to go hang out with my homegirl, Caressa, which is below her. So Caressa and I knew each other whole life. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, Caressa was talking about all the homecomings that she goes to. Caressa she went to Xavier, but she goes to Southern Homecoming faithfully. I am not a faithful homecoming goer. Okay, I'm just not. I've never been. I go to homecoming maybe once every 6-7 years. I like to spread it out. I like to be able to go back and be like lit, and then just take a sabbatical. Caressa goes yearly to hers and to Southern, which is where her husband graduated from. First of all, I want to ask y'all one, how do y'all feel about homecoming? I'm sure it's not as lit as D. Jackson State, but it'll do. Two, what do you think? What is that HBCU experience when it comes to homecoming? Why is homecoming so important? Why is it such a big deal? I want to get your feedback on that.
It's like a family reunion.
Just about to say
that's what it is.
But why do we take it so seriously?
Why not?
Outside of that, like, what is for the people who did not go to? Because homecoming is a big deal. Like, I mean, it's a big deal. It's an experience, and I do feel like homecoming is meant for alumni only. But that's just my opinion. But why? Like, how do y'all feel about homecoming? I want to hear everybody's feedback on it.
I mean, it's just something I look forward to every year.
Every year.
When they get there, say, "Oh, you got to get there," and all of your dates, like for work, all of your dates that you're gonna be off for the year. If I don't put anything else on there, I'm gonna make sure I'm off for Southern Homecoming, and I'm gonna make sure I'm off for Xavier Homecoming. Simple as that. I probably got a trip that I'm gonna go on and all of that. Don't know the dates, but guess what? I'm gonna know them homecoming dates, and I'm going.
Yeah. And we get
I don't know. I just love being around Black people. I just love it.
Funny now, like it hit different now because we see how we progress in our livelihoods. We get a chance to kind of go back down memory lane and kind of just relive what it was like when we were on campus. It's just a different experience. It's a family reunion. It's a chance to disconnect and just kind of, just remember what it was like in undergrad and appreciate that experience. Appreciate seeing us in our spaces 10 years later. Because I mean, for the most part, a lot of us got it going on. So it's just nice to see it. I mean, some of y'all be going on there for different things. We ain't gonna talk about that. But
yes, we are, because some of y'all, especially y'all married raggedy people, they be going to homecoming, think that you can live a two-phase life. And I'm snitching. And I'm telling your wife, when you post her on Facebook, talk about, baby, I love you, not knowing that you was with Tracy and Trina for homecoming. But I'm not gonna tell no names, Jordan.
This sounds a little personal. What's going on? Did I miss something?
I think you did. I think you were not invited to the party.
Period.
We missed the assignment, bro.
Hard to articulate why homecoming is important to people who haven't been. Because they're like, well, when I went into the bunch of parties, I'm like, well, because you didn't go there, so you don't understand why we feel the way we do. Like, I don't know how to put into words why I feel like I need to be there and why I'm gonna block y'all if I don't get to go.
We blocking, sis? We blocking?
Yeah, if it's a year when I was pregnant that year and I couldn't go, I just muted all y'all.
You was salty.
We need a therapist in the building. It sounds like some deep emotional some deep unpacking need to go on.
Somebody call Ayala.
Yeah, we need to call somebody.
When the last time y'all been to homecoming?
See that, Ayala,
our conversation.
Somebody's about to say something about Ayala.
My connection. Deja, you want to say something about Ayala?
I'm gonna say for me, homecoming is like, how could I compare it for anyone that's never been there? I'm gonna take it back to Black Panther. It's like going to the ancestral land. And I'm gonna leave it right there. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, bro.
You know, like when T'Challa when he died, and then he went to the ancestral. That's what it's like. You know, the real world is Wakanda, okay, but homecoming is that ancestral place. You know, you just everybody not welcome. I'm sorry.
Yo, Sam, take a nap, bro. When the last time y'all been to homecoming?
I think it should.
2021.
I consider homecoming to be. Even though I went to Fort Valley, I never go to Fort Valley homecoming. I would rather go to Albany homecoming, but don't judge me, judge your mama. I think that homecoming for me is when Fort Valley plays Albany in Columbus, Georgia for the Fountain City Classic. This year made year number 32. It's been a classic since I've been a kid, and to me, that's always when you can go to Columbus for 2 or 3 days and just act a fool. So, like I said, you don't like that, ask your mama.
Man,
Okay.
Jackson, that homecoming was so packed.
Ooh. Yo, it was 46,000?
I think it was 60.
60 some. It
Y'all,
was a lot.
y'all had a record. That's all I know. Y'all have the most.
It was a lot of people. But what's so interesting about that, it was a lot of people, but it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like it was just this claustrophobic thing. It was a lot of people.
Clearly, you was not in the game.
No, I felt the opposite. It was too packed all the time, everywhere.
Oh no, I didn't have that experience. We went to the game. We stayed a little bit for fifth quarter because halftime is game time. So we was there. We was there. I did feel a little bit much at the tailgate, but the tailgate was fun. I never really go tailgate until this year. It was my first time really actually entertaining the
tailgate. Is homecoming.
It's homecoming.
You might miss the game.
Well, y'all have
win the game.
Jackson State actually has a football team, so I'm gonna give you that. But everybody else,
because I didn't want to see the game. I'm not gonna lie. When we was losing, I still was
trying
watching.
to go into the game. I'm trying to see who all out there that tailgate.
I'm trying to see what I can see.
That's the only place you can go without a dime and leave full and dry.
I never go to the tailgate. Never go to the tailgate to the first time. For real.
That's why you be going every 6 and 7 years. Because you don't go to the tailgate.
No,
that's the problem right there.
My favorite part of homecoming is not the tailgate. My favorite part of homecoming is Friday. Okay, when everybody's on the yard. That is my favorite part of homecoming, is when everybody is on the yard and everybody sees each other for the first time for whatever long. The best part of homecoming is Friday.
Why Friday? Like, what goes on Friday?
So Friday at the Jackson State, Friday is when everybody is on the yard. There is, the alumni vendors. So you have vendors people that probably is alumni. They're selling their goods from entrepreneurship, whatever. You got the DJ on the yard. You have the band that comes through the yard. They do like a little 1-2 buckle my shoe type of situation. You got your people that got their drinks, drunk, seeing their friends, talking. It's a whole vibe.
That's kind of like what Saturday is for us.
For what school, Carissa? Which one? Southern or Xavier?
Both. Since you're being petty.
You don't have a team. You don't have a team.
What that mean?
What you do? What y'all do for Saturday?
We tailgate.
What are you tailgating?
Girl, they have a basketball game going on inside of the thing. That girl's sickening, bro. She always trying to talk about my school because it's little. But that's all right. But I be going to 2 homecomings so I can get the full effects. I go to mine for me, and I go to the big school. Okay. The girl be trying to do me. Don't do me, girl.
Kiara, when the last time you been to TSU homecoming?
I went 2019 for my Lions 10-year anniversary. And it was a very, very good time. Very good time.
Very good time.
I wasn't ready this year yet. I'll probably try to go next year, but I usually go like once every 3 or 4 years.
And we have 2 AKAs on here. Deja and Kiara. Okay. Eureka, I know they have a basketball team, but they don't have a football team. Homecoming's for football. Period. Not basketball.
We got it for basketball.
But that's neither here nor there. So I do want to ask this question because my homegirl Jasmine did ask. It was such a good question because we had a topic on it. So in the post-Coach Prime era, y'all know what's going on with Coach Prime. We're not going to talk about rumors. We just, we both text Tennessee State. And
this seems like a Jackson State specific question.
No. Fill me out though. Here the fillers, right? You have Tennessee State, who has what's his name? Eddie George.
Eddie George, yeah.
As a head coach, you have Jackson State, who has Coach Prime as a head coach. So HBCUs are now getting a lot of vibe. It's getting a lot of energy when it comes to that, right? How do we keep up the momentum? Because we do know that these high profile individuals will not stay at HBCUs. We do know that. But that's neither here nor there. I do feel like it's a stepping stone to them to get to a PWI, and they're just trying to use it the back just like they do for blacks when it comes to voting rights, but that's just my opinion, but whatever. So we do know that eventually they're going to be skedaddling, right? But it has a really good momentum. Like, we can't negate what Coach Prime, Coach George is doing when it comes to promoting HBCUs. How do we keep the momentum going? HBCUs is definitely in the forefront in the conversation when it comes to like ESPN and all that kind of stuff. How do we keep the momentum going, getting these top tier talents, not just in sports, but just in education in general? How do we keep the momentum going once this phase, and I'm going to just use phase in air quotes, passes? Does that make sense what I'm asking? I would like everybody's feedback on that.
Well, hopefully now with the resources that they're having, the exposure that they have, they'll have that experience to be able to maintain that versus what we had before. I mean, because we've all, as students and alumni, we've always been there and we've always showed up for our college. It's just now keeping the other demographic as involved and invested in us. But I think that giving them that exposure, and then also the ESPNs, these high profile celebrities, seeing how much exposure they get, how much positive recognition they get, they'll want to continue to invest in that, even if it's not the Deion of the world. It could be other football players who leave the org and come over. Same for our educators. They see we have celebrities who are now doing their doing classes at HBCU. So with the exposure, experiences, and the administrators who work at the schools now having that kind of experience, hopefully they'll continue to use those resources and networking to be able to keep that up. And now the students are expecting it. So, the moment we don't get something we want, it'll be a Howard situation and we'll raise hell. Like, okay, we need you guys to keep that same energy. So it's going to be a lot of accountability and using the resources that we have to maintain it.
I think they need sponsorships and incentives, just to add to what they just said.
What do you mean by that? Sponsorships and incentives?
So sponsorships from like major companies, whether it's
Under Armour and all of them.
Right. Not just sports, but, also, I don't know, spirit companies or anybody that's willing to pour into HBCUs to provide more money, to give to not just the sports, but other departments of the school. Mm-hmm. And you also need, incentives such as like entertainers sponsoring full rides to a lot of these students and especially athletes, because that's why the athletes don't come, because they don't get the money. Do you
think it's just money though, or do you think?
But if you get sponsorships, you'll get exposure, you'll get media, you'll get the recognition that you need, you'll get the scouts, you'll get the NFL, the NBA, etc. But also you have to benefit everybody else, not just athletes. So with that, I feel like, find a way to capitalize on that to provide like scholarships, like full rides for a lot of people,
I also think it's about having that conversation, like letting these students know that, you play these sports, you can go to these HBCUs and make it to the leagues. There are a lot of people that are making it to the league from our schools. It's just they might not have as much, attention or focus. And I think a lot of times when kids are in high school, our schools aren't even brought up in the conversation. So hopefully the exposure that we're getting now, if that continues, and like they said, the incentives and the exposure, we can gather more students that are interested in coming to our schools and showing that it's possible to get to the big leagues from there.
I just want Jasmine to log off. And I really mean this with my whole heart. Jasmine, log off. Because at this point, you wildin' in the comment section. Just take a nap. Anybody else, Caressa, you want to give feedback on that when it comes to this topic?
We don't have a football team, remember? Bye.
Bro, you've been petty your whole life. I said when it comes to exposure and when it comes to the exposure and the marketing of our HBCUs, how do we keep the conversation going? Not just when it comes to football. Even though you don't have one, you have a really good basketball team, I think. And I don't know, nobody never talk about it. Marquise, you want to add to the conversation?
I probably would just say that, before the 70s and the 80s, that Black athletes specifically came out of nothing but HBCUs. And so we know we are the most talented. And so we really want people to be invested in Black athletes. We ought to send our children to HBCUs, no matter how gifted they are. And people will come and find them. So I think that we as a people have to be more invested in sending our children to HBCUs and stop stigmatizing HBCUs with the thought that somehow my child won't go as far as they will if they go somewhere else. I think somebody like a Shannon Sharp that came out of a Savannah State shows us that going to a HBCU can get you just as far. I mean, a prime time who now coaches at Jackson State shows us that
Jackson State. I just want you to put that
See,
I just wanted you to be clear.
See, I was on the road to it, and you won't stop me to. I was just digging in. But yeah, we have to, as Black people, start to realize that HBCUs are where we have to educate our children at. You can't ask your oppressor to educate your children and then wonder why your children turn out to be just as racist and internalize that racism. And so we've got to start sending our college athletes back to HBCUs. And I will note that I hadn't brought my red cup out, but I'm starting to feel that little Hennessy just a little bit. So I feel pretty good.
So Maisha Mabu. So Maisha made a point. She said some of our kids do not know what HBCUs are.
In this day and age, why is that?
Why?
Because you have internet, you have different sources of media that they can see every day, that they should be exposed to it. Like in our era, I could understand, but that's not an excuse anymore.
So do you think that we should, as HBC, everyone over here, HBCU alum, and I definitely feel like everybody's a proud HBCU alum, right? Like it's there, it's out, right? When it comes to the HBCU experience, do you think it is your job as an alum of an HBCU to not force it, but push the notion of attend HBCU, be fun for the first time, be the majority and not the minority?
Yes.
We're HBCU's greatest ambassador.
And do you actively do that?
To let your kids know you need to be proud of being Black. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And you would want to be around people that look like you.
Off my soapbox.
What you say, Deja?
I said, you're going to tell me to get off my soapbox because I'm a preacher every time. And when they start talking to me about other stuff, I'll be like, I just can't even understand you right now. There's so many to choose from. Do your research. Like I will do no research on PWIs for my Black students who come to me.
And can we also talk about the notion that HBCUs do not the society part where it doesn't teach you real world like give you a notion of real world, but can we remove the notion that HBCUs does not give you the education standard as PWIs? Because let me tell you one thing about it, two things for sure. Okay, I can spar with the best of them. Okay, let's be real clear that I can spar with the best of them. The company that I work for is definitely 6% Black, and we're worldwide. And your girl been all across the world just on a company's dime. Like, let's remove the notion that HBCUs do not have the same level of education or same higher student. Like, can we remove that? It's just, I don't know where that started, but I need us to remove that conversation.
I would actually add that I think that we're a little better, and I know that may sound a little cocky, but one thing about a student that has attended an HBCU, you know who you are, you know where you're from, and ain't no question about that. And so I trust a mofo that went to an HBCU longer than I would ever trust somebody that went to a PWI. When you look at the leaders that this country has made, all of them, 90% of them have come from Black institutions. And you take that wherever you want to take it. But I'm just trying to say, you trying to go somewhere in life as a Black person, go to HBCU. I'm like Suge Knight now. You tired of your
Come to HBCU.
Yeah, come on over to HBCU.
If you can give advice, right, to a student that is in her or his junior year and they're looking at colleges and they see that HBCUs is definitely like on the come up for them and they see it more and more. But if you can give advice to, what would that one advice be when it comes to a student that's like really trying to figure out what school they should go to, what if it should go to HBCU? What would that one advice be? And I want to hear from everyone. I'm gonna start with Sam and with Caressa.
I'll skip myself. I'll go into the next. That's a deep question right there.
I'm serious. I really want to know. Like, so Sam, we come back to you then. Kiara.
I mean, for me, like I said, my mom put me in a lot of programs that gave me the opportunity to tour a lot of HBCUs. So that would probably be my first piece of advice. Like, tour the schools. They all provide, a different experience. The ones up north are going to be completely different from the ones down south. See what you're looking for. And then also, if you know what your major is going to be, look at the schools that highlight your major. That will help you get a job when you leave. Some schools are really good about setting engineers up or veterinarians or whatever the case may be. So I guess that would be my biggest piece of advice. Do your research first.
Okay. Deja, what would be your advice?
I would just, to piggyback on what you said, do your research, take a tour, but truly if you want to go somewhere and you want to feel seen, especially for people of color, you want to feel recognized and to not be treated like a number or somebody who's going to be there, then your best bet is to go to an HBCU because they're going to be there for you in ways that you cannot get from these larger institutions, from these PWIs in specific. So yeah, do your research, talk to those of us, reach out to your local alumni chapter, see what resources they have. There's tons of ways to outreach to us, to the current students, but shit, just go.
Okay, Marquise.
I visited my share of HBCUs, and one of the things I noticed is that most of them are in the hood. So I really don't know if I would advise to visit the HBCU. Maybe just take an online tour or something. You don't need to stop by and see them dorm rooms. You don't want to see them dorm rooms before you get there.
We're gonna put Marquise on mute. We're gonna put Marquise on mute.
You don't need that in your life.
Let the Hennessy ring out. What you were saying, Marquise? Let that Hennessy ring out.
Yeah, I just was saying that you don't need that negativity in your life. You don't need to stop by and see them dorms falling apart, students living in tents on the front of the. You don't need to see that.
You need to see it all. And if you got
so Marquise saying basically a rival student orientation, and then you be surprised then.
I'm talking about just figure it out once you get there, student orientation. That's the best way I can advise. Once you go there and you see them projects across the street.
So you saying it's gonna run them away?
That might be why
it's gonna deter them.
Let me tell you something.
Ooh. Okay, Caressa. I don't know. You should go back.
I mean, I don't really have too much to add to all of that. I mean, I don't disagree with what Marquise is saying, but I do agree with what Kiera and Deja are saying. Do your research. Do your college tours.
I don't think it's a bad idea because when I went under, you'd expect all the Black colleges, if you do your research, all of them are in neighborhoods that, the history. So that wasn't a big shocker. Jackson State is on J.R. Lynch Street. So I'm like, Lynch Street?
That's a problem. I need to change that street name. I was bothered by that.
I had a bomb tour when I got on campus. All of that shit didn't matter. And as much suspect stuff I was doing at undergrad, the hood never bothered me. They was cool.
But a lot of them from there.
No, there's no beef around those parts where Jackson State is. So it was not
like they're at home when they go. Honestly, some people.
Now I know them your kinfolk, and I ain't try to insult you by talking about the folk that stay across the street. All I'm saying is you need to go check it out. That's all I'm saying.
Go with somebody that knows. Go with somebody that knows. Yeah, don't be walking around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Eureka said take his Hennessy. And she said take his Hennessy.
Take his Hennessy away.
Oh no, the party's just getting started now.
So Sam, what would your advice be?
My advice would be if you wanna be the change that you wish to see in the world and in society, go to HBCU. It's the only place that's gonna cultivate your talents, your intellect, help you be aware of who you are as a person, as a people, and give you direction in where you're going. And the good part about it is you're around most people that actually want to see you win. That not everybody want to see you win, but a lot of people that you attend school with wants to see you win. So you create that network. There's no limits to where your life can go when you go to an HBCU, and I really mean it.
I do want to comment on Jasmine comment, right? Her Jasmine post. She did correct it at the bottom and said shoot, but when people tell me that, because I'm going to HBCU and entering corporate America and into a field that is predominantly dominated by white men, I'm always interested when I meet someone a person of color, specifically Black, that went to a PWI. And I always ask, what made you go to a PWI, right? When they say money and scholarships, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. If the money, and this is just how I feel, if the money is there, if you got a full ride to Penn State and no HBCU gave you money, do not go into debt if you don't have to. That's just my opinion. However, if experience is more important to you than education, not more important, but if the experience is very important to you, I would definitely push the HBCU, right?
Can I add something to that conversation? If Penn State will give you a few dollars, then you know HBCU got a few dollars.
That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily
They
true.
may have it, but they may not want to give it.
I'm not saying maybe
HBCUs is really
maybe it's not the HBCU you want to go to, but if you can get into Penn State on a full ride, one of these 100 black schools
maybe
got a few dollars for you.
Maybe, but see how you say a few dollars versus full ride?
That do make a little different now. That's why I'm gonna go and sit back.
And that's why I said we need to capitalize on this new wave of certain people like Prime coming to HBCUs right there. Right there. We could use that to provide that funding so people wouldn't have to make the decision.
But there are grants, there are scholarships that can be applied for. You can teach high school students to start those early.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that'll take care of tuition sometimes at, a HBCU as opposed to going to LSU or going to Penn State.
Yeah. Well, you're a number.
How early would you say?
Arizona State's homecoming a few weeks ago when I asked a lot of the individuals that were there and they were Black, and I was like, why did y'all go to ASU? A lot of them was talking about money, and I know that for a fact that ASU, they basically go out headhunting for black.
When you say ASU, are you talking about Arizona State?
Arizona State, yeah.
Okay.
They go out and they search for Black talent, and they offer them these crazy scholarships, travel, and things of that nature. So I think that is a task that another takeaway that the HBCU needs to kind of get on board with is making your money talk.
That part. And out-of-state fees is ridiculous. They damn ridiculous. I just want to point that out. Out-of-state fees is straight up disrespectful.
It changed. The fee is like $500 a semester now. $500.
So
I didn't say last week.
So to your point, do you think all HBCUs should provide a class for possible incoming freshmen or even high school students on how to apply for scholarships prior to coming to HBCU, like years before? Like you could. You said what?
The HBCUs and the local alumni chapter should do that. I think the HBCUs we could do more. We could do better on the alumni front, connecting with those on campus in order to kind of afford those. Because I think the Black colleges are a bit behind with the benefits of alumni affairs. We're playing catch up in that arena to some of the points that Marquise made. So we definitely have some work in that arena. But those options are out there. Then we need to deflect back to the parents because it can't be everything on us. We need to get those parents involved. Like, why are you not doing this research for your child? We do know that we have a different generation, a very, I don't want to say entitled, but coming up, but they want a lot of things handed to them and they need to go out and do the work too.
So you think alumni chapters of every HBCU should go in their local community and provide those services?
Yes,
along with the parents. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys active in your local alumni chapter?
I am. I'm the president of mine.
Boss.
Okay, Deja.
I guess she shut up.
Yeah. I'm gonna go on mute right now.
Okay, Deja. Everybody else.
We have some really good people like Maisha's in the chat. We have some people who are really advocating for the individuals who are here, try to get them to our Black schools because we know just how beneficial it is. But for those of you guys in like predominantly Black communities, like the work is there for you.
So what's the challenge? I want to challenge. Like, what's the challenge that we as alumni, and not just the guests, but just in general, what is a challenge that we can take on to increase the enrollment outside of sports? But what is the challenge that we as alumni can do to increase the enrollment, and also support financially when it comes to HBCUs? Like, how outside of us, like, beating the pavement, like what can we do? Okay, if you guys don't know, my job is a process improvement. So I'm always looking for improvement measures, right? Being proactive instead of reactive. What can we do as alumni and just people who are pro HBCUs? What can we do to get more people into HBCUs? Also, actually graduate, because our graduation rates at HBCUs our intake rate and our graduation rates are deplorable, to say at least, right? Graduation rates are like 50-60%. What can we do to retain talent, get them to graduate, and also give back? Those are my three. What can we do to get talent, retain talent, and when I say retain, actually graduate and give back? And those are my three. What can we do? Like as a responsibility, as a challenge.
I could answer the give back. The give back, give on your alumni day, like whatever is your. For us, it's Giving Tuesday. We give back. Like as an alum, I feel like all alums try to budget within. I don't know, make it a part of your yearly budget where you give back on that giving day, because that's a major part of funding.
Yeah, giving back and engagement, like being engaged, being a liaison between the school, your community high schools as you're recruiting, kind of just having a presence known there, as well as your alumni affairs, just being that vessel to keep the communication flowing, because as we know, out of sight, out of mind.
That part.
Yeah, similar to what she said, I really just use every opportunity I have, whatever mentor group I'm in for the day. If somebody's talking about college, boom, let's sit down and talk about a HBCU. I try to take every opportunity I can. But then also, I think a big part of graduation rates, although it is, retaining people, due to maybe academic struggles, a big part of it is, the financial aid piece of it. So maybe getting our schools on the same page to make sure when the semester starts, people's money is there. I know many opportunities, many times when I was in school, after that first couple weeks, in the first semester, folks leave in droves because financial aid couldn't get their stuff together. So I think it's, challenging our administration to be on their stuff as well while we're trying to help get the people to the school, so that we can keep them there and they can graduate because they have the adequate funding to do so.
Yeah, because the graduation, I think that's at every HBCU, right? Like the graduation rate is so low, and it's funding. What else is, because it can't just be like affordability, because even though America is really tripping with how expensive college is compared to other countries, but that's another conversation for another time. But how do we get our students to graduate? How can we support our students to graduate, like outside of funding? What is there? Because our graduation rate is extremely low. How can we support? And I know this is probably not a one size fit all answer, but is there a way that we can support or assist with the graduation rates? Is it just people not studying? Is it just like people not having the balance of partying and education? Like, what do you think is some of the barriers that people are having when it comes to getting our students to actually graduate and not just attend and be a super senior, a senior 2 times, 4 times, 5 times removed?
Everybody who attended college probably had no business going. They probably should have went to a trade school.
So can we talk about trade schools? That part, because
I feel like HBCU should do both.
Is it what you want to go to? Like, you need
but
to
that's
be
another
honest
day.
When you're attending college. Like, where are you going? Why are you going? Should you even be?
Yep.
Also giving people an idea of what college is. I think a lot of times people go and they're like, oh, I'm going to school and I'm going to sign up for 18 credits my freshman year. And then you get there and you're like, wait a minute, I got an 8 o'clock class in the morning, 8 o'clock in college and 8 o'clock in high school, or 2 different 8 o'clocks. So now you're sitting there confused trying to figure it all out. So I think it's being realistic in what the college experience is, because as you mentioned, trade school is an option. And for a lot of people, it's a necessary option, and you're not wasting your time or money or, whatever the case may be. So just being realistic in what college expectations are, it should be very, very helpful.
Caressa, you want to say something or no? I don't know. You look like you want.
I forgot what I was going to say, but go ahead.
So stupid, but but Sam made a really good point about HBCUs and how we can integrate trade schools. Because if you want the real tea, a lot of trades is making more money, okay, than us professionals that's going to work every day 8 to 5, okay. Like, let's not think that just because you're doing a trade don't mean that you're not making some coindellas, all right. And if we could integrate trade schools, I actually feel like that will boost up our attendance rate. It will also boost up the graduation rate, and it will also give people more opportunity to understand, like, we out here. You know what I mean? Like, there's a space, a pocket for every single person. Why don't we? That's a really good point. Why don't we have a trades program, like learning how to work with your hands, carpentership, the little electric people?
I think are doing more partnerships than they are doing their own thing. They would rather have a partnership with the trade school to say, hey, you can do this program here, and then we'll partner you with whomever we're contracted with or whomever we're partnered with, so that way you can kind of keep going on that trade, so that way everybody is kind of in the house. But I haven't seen a whole lot of colleges just saying we're going to have our own trade school within the university.
I think that we put too much onto this idea of an American dream. That, if you go to school for 4 years, you don't get out, you don't get you a house and a family and a dog and a picket fence out in the country with you 2 acres of land, and that shit is not. It don't exist. It's not an American dream. It's an American nightmare. You go to school and you come out with $40,000 to $50,000 to $60,000 in student debt, only to be, denied housing, only to be offered the lowest paying jobs that aren't even in your career field. And so I think instead of pushing for children to go to college, what we ought to start figuring out is, what do you want to do with your life, and how do we get you there? So maybe your desire is just to be a barber. Okay, well, let's make sure you the best barber that's out there. Maybe your job is just fixing on cars. Well, let's figure out how we can make sure you the best mechanic in the city. And so everybody is not built to go to college. Hell, it took me 9 years to graduate. You know what I'm saying? And so it takes us sometimes a little longer when that's not really what you're supposed to be doing. I graduated from college almost 5 years ago, and not one time ever has anybody said, let me see your degree, ever. And so I could have been I had a bachelor's down on my resume if y'all wasn't going to ask for it. So now I'm sitting here with a $60,000 piece of paperwork that ain't nobody ever asked me to see. And so we need to get out of the business of telling young people to go to college and start figuring out what they want to do with their life.
I agree.
A word.
I agree. Everybody's not meant to be a scholar. Some people have natural talents. That's just God's gift to them that we just have to help cultivate. And that's the gift that's going to make room for them. And that's the gift that's going to bring them wealth, money, stability, etc. So I agree.
Yeah.
Me too. I just feel like, as far as Xavier is so expensive to go to. When I say it's expensive, I mean it's expensive. I think it was like $13,000 when I first started. $13,000 as far as pharmacy school was like $16,000 by the time a semester when I left. But so many people go to that school like just to say, oh, I went to Xavier, but they're not going to be a doctor. They're not going to be the programs that we're known for, and pretty much pharmacy, and it was sending people to other medical schools. So a lot of people go to Xavier and then they don't finish. If you're not going for that, it's kind of like, don't go there. Don't spend that money. Don't get there and be in debt. Because even coming out as a pharmacist, you over $100,000 in debt. Over 100.
Yeah. Having meaningful conversation with your kids about what you want to do.
Yeah.
Being intentional about it.
And you know what? Also adding, like, let's remove the stigma of trade, right? Like understanding that trade is just a different avenue. Doesn't mean it's wrong, doesn't mean it's less than, just like removing the stigma of what it is, and knowing that your budgets do not need to be the 4-year university, trying to be majoring in general studies. First of all, what the heck is general studies? What's general studies?
Kinesiology.
Go to a trade, find out what you're good at, enjoy what you want to do, get your money, boo. Okay? You don't have to go to a 4-year institution to do that. Because I still do not understand people that major in general studies. I'm not gonna call no names.
Well, not just general studies, but a lot of other areas. Like, what the hell is majoring in marketing? What is majoring
First of all, I majored in
well, no.
First of all, let me check you real quick, Marquise.
No. Well, let's talk about it.
No, stop.
No,
I would say
we need
something
to
like
sip some
theater
alkaline
or
water
fine
now,
art.
because that Henny is messing you up now.
I done stepped on some shit now, ain't I?
Hold up. First of all, Marquise, okay, let me be real clear, okay. I did marketing and business management, and yet, even though I do not use my degree in full, my degree is being used in my process improvement career. Thank you very much. So don't get it twisted.
But you understand what I'm saying.
No,
it's
I don't.
Not that
I don't. But we're
okay,
gonna put you on mute.
I guess he's not just trying to say marketing. He's just trying to say in general.
No, he's on mute.
People.
Marquise is on mute.
That girl want to be so petty today. That's what she wants to. She wants to do that. She know what that man means. She wants to be this way.
To say that marketing.
And the rest is on mute too.
Anything else but marketing.
Just sitting in, bro.
Marquise is just sitting there.
But I will say, I feel like even with the trade schools being integrated, maybe they could take some classes that will help them actually develop their own business and get into the stream of entrepreneurship. Like, you don't have to get a major for it. Just take certain certifications or classes that will help you, do that.
We are coming.
You're unmuted now, Marquise.
Yeah, Marquise, you got something else you want to say?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something. You know you talking some real shit when they say they try to mute what you talking about. You know you talking some. So I'm just glad.
They didn't. Marquise go back on mute. So going forward, because they good. Listen, Marquise is funny. Okay. But we are. I just want to make sure I highlight some of the good points that baby don't pay with them student loans back. The U.S. of A is in trillions of dollars in debt and still printing money. They ain't hurting, so why should we? You know what?
Because they're gonna come for it eventually.
Man, because guess what? Come January, because they're already sending me these emails talking about it's time to pay. First of all, mind your business. Okay. First of all, you and my income. Okay.
Yeah. Can I step on that a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Of how we put Democrats in power, and they promised us they would cancel student loans, and now they complaining about how they're gonna win next year's election. You want to win next year's election? Cancel student lones.
That part, because if anybody cancels student loans, baby, you get my vote all day.
You get mine too here. Across the political spectrum.
You get my vote all day. What's up? We can't, because wasn't Biden supposed to cancel? You know what? We're not even gonna get to it.
Well, he said he was gonna cancel it, then he said what, $10,000. Then now he's not saying nothing about it.
He's real silent. I noticed he's real silent.
Don't know.
Okay.
That we're part of what W.E.B. Du Bois would call the 10%. And as us being part of this 10%, we are the ones who get out and encourage other Black folks to get out and vote for different candidates and different priorities and different policies. But we've got to make sure as HBCU alums that we're standing with candidates that believe in the priorities that we believe in. They believe in investing in HBCUs. They believe in making sure that hell we can get out and damn actually vote. So
but also have the follow through to follow that though, right? Like let's make sure they have the track record.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Now let me tell you something. When after Georgia delivered their 15 electoral votes to Joe Biden, Democrats from all over the country ran to Georgia. They said, we need you to get out and vote. We can't do nothing else. if you don't get out and vote and deliver the Senate to Democrats. We delivered the Senate to Democrats. They said we don't give you $2,000 if you voted. Got back in office, said we only gonna give you $1,400. We gave you $600 in December. Like, wait a minute. That's not what you told us that you were gonna do. You said you were gonna give us $2,000. Now, how in the hell a different Congress and a different president, you want us to claim they said $100 as your victory? Nigga, where our money at? Let me tell you something. When you want to talk to black folks, you gotta come out with money.
Where we going? Where we going? I'm
gonna take you there, sister. You just hold on.
You're right.
If that for too long, we've been investing into politicians that don't give a damn about the priorities that we do. And so us who are a part of this 10%, we need to be smarter about where we are investing our time, our talents, and our resources about getting black people to the next level. That's what I'm saying, Mr. Quez. And then I'm gonna sit back and you know what? I'm gonna take my red cup and sip on me a little more Hennessy.
I think to add to what you're saying, it's all about holding them accountable. How do we hold them accountable? How? Because that's on us for not following up and holding them accountable. Like after the election, we just kind of
not just our presidents, right? Our local officials. Okay, like not just our president, our local officials at circuit courts, like our local people. Like it starts with our own community, literally our own community. Correct. And then it goes up. Shout out to Jasmine and Brandon for teaching me, you know, the whole little thing. You know, making sure that we hold our local people just as accountable as we do the president and all of them. Okay. I do want to do one thing before we go to our champagne toast is Kiara and Deja. So y'all both are, you know, Greek. Shout out to y'all both are AKAs. Look at Deja's head. You could tell. And Kiara, she just present. What's up? Okay, but I do want to give a different point. We talked about education. We talked about sports. We talked about all these different things. I do want to highlight, because I know one thing about Champagne Conversation, we have our views initially are low, but when it comes to replays, we're in the hundreds. Like it just happens. It's always in the hundreds. So I do want to, for the parents who have kids who are growing up and we're trying to push the narrative at HBCU, I do want to give the other side of the HBCU. We talk about education and football, but I do want to give like a little highlight, a little briefing when it comes to the Divine Nine and what that not just the whole experience, but what made you choose your organization, why you chose your organization, what was important for you. And I want to talk about just basically organization. Jackson State, we have like mad drama and these different organizations. I do want to kind of highlight the extracurricular activities side of the HBCU experience. So Deja and Kiara, I would love for you guys to talk about your experience when it comes to the Greek life, and if anybody else that was involved, and also the comment section. What made you involve yourself in your own organization? If it was not Greek, if it was whatever, choir, mad drama, theater, whatever. I do want to highlight that as well. Okay, so national organization, Jasmine. Okay, but I just want to highlight the other side of the college experience. So I'm gonna take the floor. Whoever want to comment. Asia, Kiera, Sam. I don't know what happened to Marquise and Caressa. They'll be back, I'm sure.
I guess I just give it back to my parents and my family. Like I said, a lot of them went to HBCUs. I come from a pretty heavily Divine Nine organization family on both sides. And my parents did a really good job in exposing me to as much as possible. I didn't really come from a family where it was like, if you don't do this, I'm not going to own you kind of thing. They let me see what everybody had to offer. So when I got to college, you know, you kind of look around, you kind of see, depending on what school you go to, 9 times out of 10, everybody's not going to be there because somebody's going to be suspended. So you kind of just, you know, see what's offered and go from there. But for me, it was really the service that I experienced or that I saw that my chapter did, or the organization as a whole. And it was just really important to me. So I joined my junior year. So I was there for 2.5 years, had a little extended senior year, you know. But it was a great experience. And And I think as far as networking and connecting with people past, the school years, past the grad school years, it's been something that I cherish very heavily. Every time I go somewhere for work, somebody can see a lanyard and you're automatically added to an email list of almost, 500, 600 people that are willing to sit down and have lunch with you or share their experiences with you. And that to me has been invaluable and something that I would never change as far as my college experience was concerned and after.
So well spoken, Kiera.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
When I went to the college fair, and the first woman that I encountered at the HBCU fair was an AKA talking to me about HBCUs and the experience that I had, and the people that she kept in contact with me at the time. We don't really grow up with a lot of Black Greeks here. You don't really know about that much from this side. So that exposure to her, and I was like, "Who is this lady in pink and green?" And she kind of essentially held my hand along the way into Jackson State. So naturally, like, I'm doing my research to figure out more, like, what's this organization? What's Jackson State? I get on campus. At the time when I came on campus, the ladies were not active, but we were, for Jackson State, Miss JSU is in the freshman dorm. And at the time, Miss Jackson State was an AKA. And the following year she was too. But anyways, I just had a lot of great interactions with her in the College of Business. I had the Dean Glover, Linda Glover, who is now our Supreme Bacillus. She was our dean, and a lot of my College of Business instructors were women of AKA, and I just had a lot of great experiences with them. On the other side, I kind of felt like, even though I was choosing them, they were choosing me. Like, there was a lot of communication back and forth. There was a lot of shared values. It's just an experience that, you kind of can't, I don't know how to put it into words sometimes, but it overall, like, the networking, the camaraderie, the sisterhood, how much it means outside of what people see on TV, it goes a lot deeper than that. Because aside from AKA, I was in Tiger Pride. I was in the College of Business clubs. I did NAACP, just a lot of camaraderie across the organizations. At the core value of every organization that I was in, it was about giving back to our younger generation, the retention of talent in Black schools, and just that sense of community.
Anybody else was involved in any organizations? I was involved in America's Marketing Association and different things. Like, I was a band manager, it was different things like that. It was all looped into community, basically, like going, to be a part of something bigger than just yourself, right? Like, just being able to extend yourself a little bit further. Being a band manager was one of the littest moments of my life. I got in a lot of trouble, but it was worth it. So was anybody else like a part of any organizations, groups, anything like that? You definitely want to put the other side of it.
Just 2 pharmacy groups, American Pharmacists Association and then a Student National Pharmacists Association. So, but yeah, it was pharmacy groups based on pharmacy, but we did a lot of community service and stuff too.
Yeah, for me, it was NAACP and Bonner's and Adams Scholar Program, which pretty much did service to the community. That's pretty much what we did.
I'm naturally, or trained rather, I'm an organizer. And so out of our generation, I think that what actually snatched my attention was Trayvon Martin. And so I've been a part of the Collegiate 100, NAACP, and damn near every other group that was on the ground doing the work. And so, I think that all provides the beauty of an HBCU. And I think that's what the whole conversation has been about, is what we can tap into as Black students at a HBCU. And I would just add that further solidifies why there's nothing else like it. And for my brother Sam, I got his Morehouse brother sweater on. So next year my boy back up for re-election. So make sure you vote Warnock. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, moving
I
forward.
don't have a choice.
Moving forward, we're coming close to our champagne. Next thing is our champagne toast. But I do want to ask you guys, the guests and our viewers that's watching, is there anything that in the conversation when it comes to HBCU experience that we overlooked that you guys want to plug in that I may have overlooked?
Let's talk about the lunchroom and how
the calf.
Yeah, the calf and how the food nourishes
There's
your
nothing
body
that's
to be
like
able
it.
to flow how it's
Yeah.
supposed to flow. You know,
I
'cause if you don't eat in the calf, you don't move like it's supposed to move, and that's all I'm saying.
And you feel absolutely betrayed when your friends go to the calf without you.
Yo, freshman year is the year when I went to the calf. I stopped going after that. But freshman year when somebody else goes to the calf without you, yo, you're like, are you really my friend? Like, do you really rock with me? Like the audacity, the unmitigated gall. Shout out to Trissy.
And some of the chefs hold you
there.
down too. They hold you down, like, you know.
Yo, the first time I never had corn nuggets.
It was number 15. We had
What'd you say, Deja?
I said the calf. Like, forget a freshman 15. We had a freshman 25.
Bruh, Jackson State had the old student union, and they used to serve these fire chicken wings. Bro, it was the best chicken wings I've ever.
Like, on what level of chicken wings we talking? Like,
Bruh.
Wingstop, like.
No,
like,
listen,
what we talking?
Listen.
Yeah, cause we in Atlanta. What you mean fried chicken wings?
Listen, these chicken wings. If you went to the Jackson State University, and you went to the old Union, they had and when I tell you it was so good, the line would be out the little thing, and you have to wait, and it would be always sold out. But it was fire chicken wings. It was like a little space,
I've heard you since we've been on this call exaggerate just a little bit. You keep saying
you ain't never heard me exaggerate now. Damn, not a damn thing.
The Jackson State University.
Because it is deep.
So,
shout out to Jasmine.
I'm just gonna have to question.
It ain't no exaggeration over here.
Type your question, bro. Type your question.
No, I'm back home. I'm back home. If you exaggerating about the Jackson State, I just got to question your choice in chicken wings. That's all I'm saying.
Yo, Marquise needs to put the Hennessy down. Anything else that I missed before we go to our champagne toast for the night? We good? All right. So it is that time where we're coming to a close. I thank you all for joining. We are moving to the champagne toast. If you do not know what the champagne toast is, everybody grab their glass, their red cup from Marquise. And so what we're going to do is with a champagne toast, we're going to go around the circle and talk about what you learned, what was your takeaway for the night, and we will cheers you on, and then we will move forward. Okay, so we'll start with Sam since he is an old timer, and everybody in the comment section, we would like for you to put your champagne toast in the comment section for the night. Is Freelance still open? Eureka, yeah, girl. I don't go though because it's a real ghetto, but it's still open. Kira, it's the truth. It's like really ghetto. So Sam, you're gonna do your champagne toast, and we're gonna end with Caressa, and then it would end with me, but Caressa will be the last guest. So champagne toast for the night, and then we'll cheers. And if you're in the comment section, please put your champagne toast in the night for 2.
Okay, I'm gonna say cheers to what can I say? What I learned. I would say the biggest thing that I learned is that we could use our alumni network to help bring that funding that we need. And also we need to consider, and I believe it was Deja's idea at first, and then I just piggybacked on it, that we can use that to pretty much help our HBCUs come up with a strategy to not just have traditional majors, but also trades integrated in our school. So, cheers to the future for that. Maybe we can be the group to bring that innovation.
Hey, period. I love that. Okay, Kira, K-Mac.
I'd say that I think this evening for me just kind of reiterated the fact that we all have that passion for our schools and for HBCUs as a whole. It's not a one and done kind of thing. Like, you go there and you share that news with everybody, and that the passion is there to get other people to come to our schools as well, so that we can continue this path forward. So I think that was awesome to see, that we just don't let it go when we walk across the stage. So I will cheers to that.
Period. Cheers to you, Mama. Deja.
I would say that I would just cheers to being taking more proactive approaches to continue wanting to bridge the gap between our community and HBCUs. Once we start bridging the gap more, everything else will kind of fall in line. And then also, I'm just very appreciative to be in the space with like-minded individuals who are on the same page, who share the same experiences, the same love, how we can come in here and talk crazy, but no, at the end of the day, it's all love. Like, I'm very grateful for spaces like that, because it's few, far, and in between if we don't, take it upon ourselves to meet like this. So cheers to Sequest for giving us the space.
Hey, turn. Thank you. We can do Marquise last. Caressa.
I mean, I just, me. I agree with everything that everybody said. HBCs are lit. HBCU, you feel like you're with a family. We're not lacking education-wise. You can get everything that you get at a HBCU that you can get at a PWI. You can make it up the corporate ladder. We have mayors, we have governors, all of that. Just cheers to bringing that awareness to HBCUs and just how we up there. We're not below the line, like we up there.
Cheers, Mama.
Cheers.
I love that. Okay, Marquise, what is it? What you gotta say?
I will add that if I cheers with y'all one more time, I'm gonna be a little lit tonight. We know that education is the escalator to upwards mobility, and for a number of years, HBCUs have served as the place where Black people can grow close to one another, where we can together help narrow the gap that exists between those that have and those that have not. And so I want to cheers to all those who are brilliant enough to go to any institution that they want to, but they choose yet to go to a HBCU. You want me to tell you why? Because real niggas do real things. Cheers.
Cheers. Yo, I want to cheers to the fact that HBCUs produce these amazing people. I mean, you have people from different walks of life that's in different avenues, and it's just so amazing to see that, like Caressa was saying, like, we're not lacking, right? Just because you decided to go to an HBCU doesn't mean that you can't be a pharmacist like Caressa. Doesn't mean you can't be a top tier talent like Deja. Doesn't mean that you can be a professional, but you also have a YouTube like K-Mac. Like, you can be a professional, but also have a different stream of income like Sam. Like, you can be a professional and think Marquise is a slick minister, a preacher, a senator, all in one, right? Like, there's space for all of us. And Jasmine said it earlier throughout the show, but you have your whole life to be a minority. You have your entire life to be a minority. Choose an HBCU that where you can be the majority and there is space for you. There's allocated space for you where you can be your best self, your most authentic self, and not feel judged and not feel like you have to. Because when you go into the real world, sis, bro, it's exhausting where you have to make space in these white spaces. And if you can have that experience where you have been be able to be free to be your best self and learn and grow without judgment, taking the walk of shame without judgment, well, you do get judged, but whatever, you did it, whatever.
And
Deja, okay. It is what it is. You learn, you grow, you fall, but you have people around you that love you the best, right? So, and I also want to just cheers to the amazing people that's on this show: Sam, Kiara, Deja, Marquise, and Caressa, who even decided to do this, right? I'm just really grateful and appreciative of all that. So that is my cheers. So cheers to all of us because we out here, okay? Period. I do want to get this opportunity for people who have stuff popping off. So, Sam, you have your stuff popping on, Mr. Professional.
I do.
Can we highlight that look real quick?
So the
my
name of my
boy, the
business.
millionaire over there.
Marquise, be quiet.
I'm just trying to see it.
That Henny, man, that Henny. So I'm gonna just plug what I got going on, my business, Man of Vending. You could go to manofvending.com and look at it. We're in the Atlanta area, but we're hoping to expand to other areas soon. And I have a business partner here in Atlanta, and we're gonna open up opportunities soon. Maybe a way to teach you how to get in the game is coming soon. So just stay tuned.
Yes.
Big things popping, Sam. Big things. Hey, Mac, are we gonna talk about your YouTube or no?
I haven't been doing a whole bunch up there, but I have natural hair, lifestyle, that kind of content. It's been around for about 5-6 years, so it's a ton of videos. But work's got a little crazy. But you can just search Kiara Mac, MAC, and it should pull it up.
And she's married to my bestie with the wristy. Sally Henderson. Okay. Where my friend? Is he in there? Or he fell asleep?
No, he's right here playing Battlefield.
Solomon, where you at?
Solomon.
Let my friend be seen.
It's a quiet ass for you.
What it do, Saquez?
Period. I just want y'all to acknowledge my friend. That's it.
Oh,
I just wanted to let them know who she was married to. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Okay.
The one and only.
Okay, bye. Get off. Bye. Let me put you in.
Dang, that was fast.
What's up, bro?
Deja, we got daily dose of Deja. What's popping with you?
I have some of everything going on. But I just want to say thank you. We had quite a few, not quite a few, but I mean, I think I met 14 live with us, but I saw 3 people from Arizona who joined this call, which was, thanks to y'all for being a part of this. And the rest of y'all, put y'all Instagram names in the chat so I can tag y'all because I took a picture of us.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Look, listen here. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay. Deja, we will follow the instructions really well. Thank you. Marquise, you got anything coming? Jasmine said you're running for office. That's what Jasmine said. I ain't see that. Jasmine said you're running for office. I didn't see that.
Never. But I tell you one thing. Is that one thing I heard you say is to make sure that you receive space and that we got to make sure that we take up space. We're Black, we're beautiful, and we're bold, and we got to make sure that we are occupying as much space as we goddamn can. And so as much as you can share that Black ass energy on that Black ass face, you do that. And so I ain't got nothing to promote. I just want us to be Black, proud, and black and beautiful. That's what I want her to be. And vote Warnock, like I said. Shout out my boy Sam too.
Yo, oh Jesus. Caressa, you got anything you want to promote? I know you're doing your stuff on the side outside of pharmacy. You have anything you want to? No. Okay. So I thank you all for joining again. So we did stream up to 14, but the views is going to go up to about 400 or 500. It always happens. But I really appreciate you. So if you follow, make sure that you follow each one of these people. Sam is Instagram list that I remember.
I am. I'm only on FB. That is true.
But everybody, Marquise, you have Instagram?
But my business is on Instagram. You can find it, man.
Sam, you got a Facebook page.
I just said that, bro. I just said FB.
Wait, hold on. When you wait, Sam ain't never.
It's only because of my business, man.
Okay, so I'm gonna have we're gonna put Marquise on mute. So I'm gonna ask my guests to put their social media in the chat so that y'all can follow them because they're amazing individuals that's doing amazing things. So until next time. My guests, you guys stay on. I'm going to end this broadcast, and you guys have a great rest of the night.